Okay, good morning. Good morning. We're getting back to it today with common scams that are taking place here in 2023. Aaron actually brought this up to me and suggested this topic. I definitely think, along with her, that this is a really good thing to talk about and make people aware of. It protects not only you, but hopefully you can advise your clients and, you know, stay away from any involvement in any of these scams and protect your clients. We'll start it off here. We're going to talk about a couple different ways that title companies as of recent have seen wire fraud in issues in wiring monies throughout a transaction. I have several scams here written down. We'll start here at the top. And number one, Aaron, can you explain how emails from title companies to buyers can go wrong sometimes and lead to a scam?
Sure. It's all through, it's through email. People are hacking emails, whether it's the title company getting hacked or looks to be hacked. Some of it, is a letter off, but they're creating emails that are sending out wiring instructions for the buyer. And, they're getting all this information through public record, through Bright, wherever they're getting it. So they know about the transaction. There was a local company just recently, right before Thanksgiving, that they were going to settlement. The title company emailed supposedly the buyer to wire the money in. The buyer it was $190,000. It was a cash purchase. And so the buyer didn't suspect anything of it. The buyer wired the money. Well, here it was not the right account. It was not the title company. So and I don't have the details. I don't know if the actual company got hacked, if it was the email, if it was like a letter off or the details, but that just happened right before Thanksgiving. And, as of about a week later, the money had not been returned or anything. It's really hard to get money back once it's been gone. Another one is where the seller, somebody proposes to be the seller and they say, hey, I want my money wired. Here's the wiring instructions. Whether or not the title company's already met with them or given them different instructions, or they might say, hey, I know that I said I wanted to check, but now I decided I want to wire. Here's the updated wiring instructions. So it used to be easier to read these emails because they were, the language wasn't, grammatical errors. It wasn't written, like we're, used to seeing, but they're getting much better, and they're taking logos, they're taking signature lines there. So they really do look legit. Years ago, we had somebody who gave a check out at closing, and then a couple hours later, he emailed, and it wasn't our client. He said, hey, I decided I wanted the money wired. Well, it wasn't actually him. So that was the scam years ago. It's just getting more and more common now, especially with, I guess people getting more desperate and smarter.
Absolutely. So obviously these things can take place when, wires are involved. Us as agents, we got to, in my opinion, inform our clients that this type of risk is out there. And Aaron, like we talked about, you don't ever want to be, as the agent, a intermediary, passing along this information from your client to title company. They need to directly speak with the title company themselves and transmit that information.
Yeah, that's right, Brooks. As the agent, you don't ever want to get wiring instructions from your client, pass it on. Like, you want to make sure that your buyer and or your seller is in direct contact with the title company to make sure that, you've linked them together. They know who they're supposed to, because that's really where, it's one less person that needs to get involved. And title companies are getting more strict and strict. And as much as wire fraud is, prevailing, it's really the only form of certified money. I mean, we have certified checks, which we're going to get into too, but a lot of banks aren't liking to see those as well. And there's more issues with those too.
Yep. Uncle Tim, any thoughts you want to add to these types of scenarios?
Like we said, don't be involved in it, but make sure that the consumer is not only emailing, but calling and talking to the person, or in our case, I think we meet with them, don't we, Aaron, ahead of time?
Yeah, we won't wire money to anybody that has emailed it to us or anything like that. We have to meet with them, or if it's a seller, they have to have signed notarized docs in person from the outside company. So it has to be notarized. And once we get those, we won't change them. We had somebody just recently, we were releasing an escrow that we had held, and he was like, oh, could you wire it instead? And we're like, no, so like you would have to come in to sign the information for us to wire it. So like if you want it because it's instant money, you can absolutely do that. But if not, then we could send a check. And he was like, oh no, that's fine. So we're not going to take anything. And there's a lot of title companies that wire to other title companies, and we have procedures for that too. So, we call the title company, we verify the closing, and then we send their money to that title company. But we're in direct contact between title company and title company either. When we're wiring money to the seller to buy, or when we're getting money from, a sale on another side to buy with us.
All right, guys, if no one has any questions about this, we'll move on to the next one I have here on my list. And so I wrote down, this is kind of a situation we heard about a few years back, but there's a scam involving fake EMDs. So this is not something that's really going to, hurt your client, but you as an agent should be aware of. That way you can kind of smell this out. And if something's fishy, you don't waste any time with these types of buyers. So Aaron, do you want to kind of explain how this buyer in particular, went to purchase a large home, cash, put forth a big deposit, and what the scam was intending to do on that end?
Yeah, it was a supposed investor, and the certified check was going to be, from a local, from a bank inside the country. Okay, great. Well, we get the check via overnight, and it's from a bank in Canada. So anytime you have a certified check from another country, it's a red flag. Clearly, because we don't have any, relationship with these other countries' banks. So we deposit it. S&T says, yep, go ahead, deposit it. And then it has to go through all these channels to get to make sure that it's legit and stuff. And it takes a long time. So what happened in the meantime is Mr. Buyer says, okay, I want to cancel. Here's the termination. I want my money back. Okay, well, we can't give your money back because guess what? The check hasn't been cleared yet. So his scam was, he was hoping the title company would deposit it, write the check back. A month later, they find out that the check's no good and you're out the money. That's why we require certified check or wires. We're actually getting a lot more wires now with EMDs. And again, I'm very careful when I'm emailing, the wiring instructions out, and I make the people call me to verify. And it's specific to each one. We had a certified check recently that a stop payment was put on it. So even with certified checks, I didn't think that could happen. I mean, it can happen, but you usually have to have the physical check and take it in. But there's also mobile scanning of checks. So there's a lot of things that you really have to be careful for, so you don't, which way to go. But the stop payment on the EMD check was actually a bank error from True First, as Tim calls it, Truist.
Yeah. Did they call us to tell us it was stop paymented, or did we not find out about it till later on?
No, they called. Our bank calls us typically, and then we get a notification via mail, but they usually call me pretty quickly.
Yeah, so again, these aren't ones that are necessarily hurting your client per se, but this is more stuff that the title company and our company are involved with. But we obviously want to make you guys aware. That way, if you guys notice any red flags, please notify us immediately as well. So moving down here to the next one on my list, and I have written down here loan modification and foreclosure relief scams. So to me, this is one that's probably going to become more popular depending on what you read. Obviously, the market's shifting. You know, from what I read, a lot of people are very debt loaded high right now, and this could become a problem. And while you're having conversations with your clients, you might want to inform them that these sort of things are out there. So what's involved with a loan modification scheme? Scammers misrepresent themselves as government officials, attorneys, or people within mortgage companies or lending companies, and they offer to negotiate terms of their mortgage to avoid foreclosure. In exchange for the agreed service, they charge high fees that are due up front. Generally, they either negotiate unfavorable terms that result in eventual foreclosure or fail to negotiate terms at all. So, you know, obviously this isn't great for your client. What we recommend you tell your clients if they're facing a situation like this, the best bet is to talk directly to your lender to negotiate with them. Don't go through a third-party company. Negotiate directly with their mortgage company to hopefully get better terms and salvage that mortgage. So that's number 4 here on my list. Moving down, this isn't on the sales side of things, but if you have any clients looking for rentals and need help with rentals, there's a lot of rental scams out there. Brent, maybe you can help us and speak to this one. So what happens a lot is people, you know, whether it's a property management company or a personal landlord, puts them up for rent on a site. That listing gets copied in its entirety for the most part, and then put on Craigslist or, you know, Facebook Marketplace or something like that. And it's a duplicate listing. And what they're trying to entice is application fees and first month's rent or fee, you know, for obtaining the property. But typically those fees get not wired, but sent via Venmo or Cash App. So that's a big red flag. Brent, can you speak to those types of scams going on?
And you are 100% correct. Pretty much, there's not a day that goes by that we don't get these phone calls that somebody fortunately has done their due diligence and they actually found us because there are duplicate marketing information. So what they do is when we upload our marketing, they do exactly that, what you said. They duplicate it and put their own listing out there, and it is normally a significant amount less. If we're charging, if the rent is $1,500, they may be charging $1,000 or $900. So it entices everybody with interest to call them first. But you're right. What they are looking for is they want them to, without seeing the property, without anything, they are looking for a minimum of an application fee. They have to send $50 or $100 to them to fill out an application. Or they say, hey, we will give you the key or the access to the property. You just give me $100. And when you're at the property, I will open the property or I'll give you access electronically for you to get in. So that's another way they're doing it. We've had people also call and said that they were required to put the security deposit down. The most expensive one we heard has been $800. That somebody literally paid to this person thinking they were putting the security deposit down. We've shown up to show the property ourselves, and there were people there waiting on this fictitious person to show them the property. So it's definitely, unfortunately, a sign of the times. So yeah, they have to just please let your people know that if they're not talking with a real person, not texting or not emailing, physically talking with somebody, it's a huge red flag.
Yeah, Jim, go ahead.
I just have a question about this. What if this happens and they do get scammed and they blame you and it's not you? How do you handle that?
We direct them directly to the authorities. We have, and people have gotten hostile and yelled at us because they thought it was us, and we have absolutely positively nothing to do with it. So the only thing we can do is direct them to the authorities, period.
Yeah.
All we can do. When we find out about it, that it is one of our properties, we attempt to contact Facebook or wherever they're marketing it, but pretty much that's talking to the wall, because we don't, a lot of times they say, well, no, we don't see any problem in that marketing, we'll allow it. All we can do is report it as we know, and what we can do, the proper channels. Other than that's all we can do.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And Brent, real quick, are these security deposits then, are people saying it's being Venmoed in or PayPal'd in and stuff like that?
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
if you do that and you don't know the other person, you have to use the friends or not the friends and family, but use the business to business transfer. I know the seller will get charged a fee, but and they may resist it, but that's what it is. You know, you have to use that. If it's friends and family, they'll never be able to recoup that.
Yep.
Yeah, so moral of the story is, if you're talking to your clients, just make sure they're not sending money without first meeting somebody in person or seeing the property in person. And again, if somebody's requesting that payment, like Kong said, on PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, that should be a big red flag. So just inform your clients of that, and hopefully that will protect them. Moving on here, the next one I have on my list is tax sales and some scenarios where you might be purchasing a property from an estate that didn't have an actual will. So Aaron, do you want to kind of describe, they're not necessarily scams per se, but the problems and issues going forward with title and things that can arise?
Yeah, I've had a lot more people recently over the last couple months call about tax sales, and I think that word's getting around, hey, you can buy these properties for next to nothing at these tax sales, and then you can turn around and flip them. Well, sure. And when something sounds too good to be true, it typically is. I'm not saying that it doesn't work. There's nothing wrong with buying a tax sale property, but there's a lot of stuff that comes with it. When you're buying a property from tax sale, you are absolutely not buying any kind of clear title. Now the courthouse, apparently, I don't know, Dauphin County does tell everybody that in, I think they say 30 or 60 days, as soon as they record the deed, that you're good to go. You're not. No underwriter is going to insure a tax sale, number one, without, and this goes back for 20 years. They upped the limit a few years ago without the prior owner signing off. Because when they go through a tax sale, they don't do like a judicial sale. They go through all the steps. They have to serve people. They have to get the notifications. Like, everybody is notified and you're good to go. In a tax sale, they don't. They might mail a letter. They might mail it to the last known address, but they don't find anybody to let them know. So what happens is, and it happens in Philadelphia a lot, because there's a lot of vacant property and there's tons of population there. So people that own the properties know about this, so it's kind of like a scam on their part. So what happens is they go buy it at tax sale, then they wait for the phone call because somebody has to track down the prior owner to sign their interest off of the deed. Well, what do you think happens? They come to the owner. Well, the owner is like, oh, well, I didn't know about it. I didn't get notified. Well, this person cannot do anything with that property until they get this person to agree to sign off. So usually it's all about money. So these people that own these properties are getting paid one way or the other. They're getting paid because now in Philly, it's a lot different than it is here, but they're buying them and they're turning them into like commercial buildings and stuff. So they're willing to pay them, whether it's 5, 10, 20, 30, whatever the case is, they're willing to pay them. But around here too, you have to track the prior owner down, and people just don't understand that. Any mortgages, liens, all that stuff, nothing goes away. So people are buying these and then they're like, oh, I can't do anything with it. So, and you know, some attorneys will be involved in, like Brooks was saying, the estate portion, and they're not aware of any heirs. The person died intestate, which means with no will. There's no heirs that anybody knows about. Nobody's stepping up, sell the property, gets title insurance. And then all of a sudden, guess who comes knocking? An heir. Oh, well, we didn't know it was up for sale. No, we're fixing it. We're going to be selling it. So now the person is still not able to sell the property, even though they got clear title, because now this person raised a claim. So, you know, it's just very important to make sure that, you know, if you're working with investors, that they do know what they're doing, or they know that they may be stuck with a property that they can't sell. And, you know, before you list it, if it was, you know, Jim Penny has called me a couple times about properties because he has an investor and he was like, hey, could you take a look at this? And I'm like, yep, this was a tax sale. Now he has a client who did buy one, but it was from a private person and he ended up flipping it and he made good money. So now he's like, got this little taste, but now he keeps going after these tax sales. And unfortunately, you still have to track these people down. And when you're buying something for $10, $7, $5,000, who wants to put the work in to track these people down, to get them to sign off, to, you know, so.
Yeah, they're tough and complicated. Does anybody have any questions on these tax sale situations? Mr. Stevens?
Yeah, just Aaron, can that same type of scenario happen with an auction?
No, not really, because with an auction, you can actually you get title insurance. You have typically with an auction, you have an auctioneer and they're paying off all the stuff. It's not like they're selling it with all the liens. But people can buy, they still get title. They have usually within 30 days, they put the money up at, you know, the earnest money, but then they're able, you know, they get like 30 days or whatever to have the title search and everything done.
Thanks.
Yeah, Uncle Tim, any thoughts, comments?
Now, we just have to really be careful with all these different scenarios. I mean, it's important to pay attention to the details. And, you know, if you're representing somebody that's buying stuff and then flipping it at a tax sale, I guess, Aaron, what you're saying is the best approach would be to do the research ahead of time. If you're going for a specific property, have a title search done ahead of time. And then, you know, don't look at trying to go for all these properties. Focus on the ones that you want and do the research on it.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had investors, you know, get a couple title searches. It's worth in the long run. I mean, I have one investor who has had us do that a couple times, and you know, sometimes it's fine. I'm not saying that it's not. Like, tax sales can be good, but for every good deal you have, you take a risk, and then, you know.
Okay.
Alrighty, if we don't have any other questions on these, we'll move on to the next one I have written down here. This is a little bit lighter of a topic, and hopefully nobody has fallen victim to this, but I wanted to bring it back up because it happens, almost once or twice a year, where you'll get a fake text from Poppy, and Poppy seemingly is always in a meeting and he needs help. So just be aware that there are people out there. It doesn't come from his cell phone number, but it's a number. Hi, this is Gene Costello. I'm in a meeting right now and I need your help. Can you help me? And, Poppy always needs his gift cards or, something from Target. So just know that those people are out there and, don't fall victim to that one. The next one I have.
Poppy doesn't need anything. No gift cards. He's good.
Yeah. No gift cards for Poppy. So moving down here, the next one I have is, the copy of your deed scam. So JB does a great job at our settlements explaining this to the buyers, but obviously there is somebody with a PO box in our area, the local records office, that will send 3 different pieces of mail to every buyer in our area, claiming that you need to purchase this copy of their deed. So I'm pretty sure everybody knows for the most part about this one. Just if you're at a closing where it's not brought up, mention that to your buyers. Aaron, any additional thoughts on that one?
Yeah, no, we'll give your buyers their deeds for free. Even if you didn't use our title company, I can pull it for them. So yeah. It looks official. It's the same scheme. Some title companies mention it, some don't. But I just always tell any buyers, like, hey, if you get something, even for like biweekly payments, stuff like that, like there's all kinds of junk mail as soon as they move in. Just call. Don't sign
JB's
up
pretty
for
good at going
anything.
over that.
Yeah, just call.
Okay, so the last one I have on my list here, it's not directly involving real estate, but it happens to a lot of, whether it's your friends, colleagues, people in real estate. A lot of scams happen on Facebook. So typically the scenario is that you get a friend request from somebody that a friend of yours, and you don't realize that you're already friends with them. But what the scammer has done is completed a full duplicate of their Facebook page, including photos and everything. They make up fake posts throughout the year, so it looks very official. They copy all their personal information about where they previously worked. It looks legit, and then they start reaching out to you, messaging you, saying, hey, I just helped these folks, pay off a ton of debt using Bitcoin mining. And you can do it too. You can be, a instant success. Just, send me via Cash App, Venmo, what have you, a check for $5,000, $10,000. And we can get you started in this process and you can reap the benefits. Another way people do it is they need, if you pay $500, you get $15,000 in return. We know people who've fallen victim to that scam personally, and it's out there. So I just wanted to bring those up, and you guys can inform yourselves, inform your clients, let them know that these predators are out there and don't fall victim to it.
Poppy's
Uncle
always, you're always
Yeah,
getting
go
new
ahead.
friend requests from Poppy too. They pick on poor Poppy, but you're already friends with Poppy. It's not him. They are getting better though. We do know somebody local that was hacked about the Bitcoin, and they actually were in the financial business. So these people were actually more trusting because it was somebody who worked for, a mortgage company. So they were like, oh, so it really is people just, and it's not really so much us, but it's people. JC Cal has one that he's getting ready to list, and the guy's out $100,000, and to us, because he kept sending money, and then he would get something in return, like a little bit, and then he would send more, and then it was the whole gift card thing. So I think he's in for 50 or 100 grand. Like it's bad, and the guy's a mess. He can't believe it. Like this was all he had. So people just fall victim not thinking. And so we just need to educate as many people as we know, friends, family, clients.
Yeah, and they're getting very crafty. They're even photoshopping like friends of friends in photos with them holding up checks, like I, just helped my friends over here, and they tag everybody in the post and it looks super official. But yeah, it's sad. People do fall victim to those every single day. So just again, be aware that they're out there. Kong, Uncle Tim, Poppy, any closing
Jim, did
thoughts
you have a
or anything
question?
to add?
Jim raised his hand there.
I did
Oh,
have
Jim,
one
go ahead.
question. Just somebody falls victim like that, is there a recourse for them? Is there any way for them to get the money back, or
Typically, no. I mean,
it's
yeah,
really
typically, no,
scary?
they can notify the authorities, they'll file a local police report, then the FBI, but I mean, it's so hard to track these down that, yeah, you're typically out. I mean, I don't know how you're ever gonna get that money back. I don't hear any success stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any other questions?
Just remember, if it sounds too good to be true, it normally is not true. The way to invest is if you follow the rule of 72, interest will double itself. Let's say it's 6% and you divide that into 72, that's what? It's about 11, every 11 years, money would double itself. So that's the way to look at life, and that's the way to look at investments. If you want to take a risk, figure yourself that it's going to be whatever you can afford to lose, $500, $600, $700. Greed is what all these guys pride themselves on you being a victim of. And if you're not a greedy person, it won't happen to you. My sentiments for the day.
Hello.
I just want to know, you gonna be a shark or a goldfish today?
I'm gonna be a shark.
Did you read my email?
Not yet.
You gonna be a shark or a goldfish?
All right, so let's talk about the holidays.
Let's all be sharks today.
All right, Shark Costello over there. This Saturday. No, not this Saturday.
Sunday.
Sunday.
Sunday the 10th.
Sunday. Cocos and cookies with Santa. We have all the supplies ready. We are gonna have hot cocoa. We're gonna have cookies. We're gonna have decorating of ornaments. We also hired a photography company. They're bringing in a photo booth for the pictures with Santa, so they will get text or emailed right away. I'll get a copy of all of them at the end. So that's super exciting this year, so we don't have to wait for our photos and everything. That's from 1 to 4. Kathy, yes? Okay, 1 to 4. Morgan's a big help with that, of course. She's got a bunch of clients coming in. Our Santa, I don't want to say his name, is an amazing Santa. So it's super fun. And then I just sent out the link this morning for December 20th. We're going to do our holiday pig outs, also known as the holiday feast. So just sign up. It's a fun day. Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Brooks. And we'll talk to you soon.
Good job.
Alrighty, guys. Have a great week.